He clicked submit, with hope in his heart and fire in his eyes, unaware that the very company he dreamed of joining had already tossed his application into the trash before the resume even loaded. Malik Dorsey, a brilliant 29-year-old MIT-educated systems engineer with a portfolio full of awards and patents, had built his entire life for this moment. He wasn't just qualified, he was exceptional. Raised by a single mother in Atlanta, Malik had faced every kind of obstacle from underfunded schools to coded racism and still rose, still climbed, still achieved. But none of that mattered to the hiring panel at Langford Tech, one of the biggest software and cloud engineering firms in the U.S. Because when his resume arrived and they saw his name, his HBCU internship, and the subtle mark of Black excellence threaded through his journey, they passed. No rejection email. No interview. Just silence. But Malik was used to that. Used to the second guessing. The doubt. The patronizing emails. The closed doors. What they didn't know was that Malik had already been building something revolutionary. A platform so advanced that venture capitalists whispered about it behind closed doors, waiting to pounce the moment he asked. Only Malik didn't want investors, he wanted ownership. His platform, NeuroCore, was a self-learning infrastructure solution that had the potential to disrupt Langford Tech's entire back-end services model. And they had no idea. Over the next year, Malik watched as Langford continued to poach ideas from Black developers, tokenizing diversity in headlines while erasing it behind boardroom doors. He kept his head down, built quietly, expanded silently. And when the time was right, he didn't ask for a job, he bought the building they worked in. Literally. Through a complex web of shell companies, Malik acquired the regional real estate investment trust that held Langford Tech's lease. Then, as if by fate, news broke that Langford's valuation was plummeting after a major client left. Their founders scrambled to sell. Malik stepped in as an anonymous buyer through his holding firm and watched from across the table as the same executive who tossed his resume begged for capital. He smiled inwardly and said nothing. It was poetic, beautiful, and chilling. But that was only the beginning. After the deal closed, Malik walked into the building, now his building, and into the Langford boardroom. The same HR woman who ghosted him blinked in confusion. The CFO turned pale. And the CEO tried to fake a grin. Malik laid a folder on the table, a printed copy of his original job application, still unanswered. "I believe this belongs to you," he said calmly. "Now let's talk about who's staying, and who's going." The air sucked out of the room like a vacuum. Malik didn't just want revenge. He wanted reconstruction. He started cleaning house, evaluating departments, reading internal messages, uncovering how deep the bias ran. And what he found wasn't just unethical, it was illegal. Hiring quotas manipulated. Qualified Black candidates blackballed. Internal memos suggesting they avoid urban resumes. Malik had receipts. And now leverage. But one name kept surfacing in the emails. Jenna Carver, a former employee turned whistleblower who had tried to expose the discrimination 2 years prior, only to be mysteriously fired and then blacklisted from tech firms across the West Coast. She had vanished. But Malik knew if he could find her, she might hold the key to exposing Langford's rotten culture on a national scale. He reached out through private networks, sent discreet signals across the digital underground. Nothing. Until one day he received a burner message, "Stop digging. You're next." The message wasn't signed, but it was traced back to a shadow IP linked to a secure government contract, one Langford Tech had quietly handled through a subcontractor. Suddenly it wasn't just about workplace racism. It was about corruption, surveillance, and cover-ups. Malik knew he had stirred something far bigger than ego. His phone buzzed again, an anonymous number. A voice on the other end whispered, "If you want to know what really happened to Jenna, come to Warehouse 13 Dockside midnight, and come alone." Malik stood frozen, heart racing. Because if Jenna was alive, she'd been in hiding for a reason. And if this was a trap, he might not make it back. But he had to know. He had to finish what he started. He grabbed his coat, slid the flash drive with the internal files into his pocket, and stepped into the dark. And as he disappeared into the cold, whispering night, one thought consumed him. Was this redemption, or was this the beginning of the end? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift Black voices and expose hidden truths. The night air bit through Malik's coat as he approached Warehouse 13 by the docks, The kind of place where whispered secrets were either buried or born and nothing in between. The warehouse stood like a steel grave, half-lit, windows covered, and silence draped over it like fog. He stepped through the sliding door and immediately noticed, no cameras, no lights. Just a woman in a hoodie sitting on a crate, partially shadowed but watching him with eyes sharp as razors. "Malik Dorsey," she said before he could speak, and her voice was unmistakably real, human, alive. "Jenna Carver." She was leaner than her employee badge photo, older by stress, not by time, and she stood cautiously as he stepped closer. "They'll kill you," she said without formality, "just like they tried to kill me." Malik's breath caught, but he remained steady. Jenna handed him a small metal case. "Encrypted drive. Has everything. Hiring bias logs, deleted emails, even audio files from executive meetings." She leaned in. Langford was never just about tech. They've been selling behavioral data harvested from candidates during the hiring process, without consent, to shadow buyers. Malik blinked. "What kind of buyers?" Jenna's jaw tightened. "Government. Defense contractors. Political consulting firms. They were building psych profiles. Targeting people. Especially black and brown applicants. Filtering them out and reselling that intel under the guise of predictive workforce analytics." Malik's gut turned. It wasn't just racism, it was surveillance capitalism soaked in digital redlining. He opened the case. The drive looked like a car key, matte black and heat-sealed. "Why now?" he asked. "Why give this to me?" Jenna's eyes softened. "Because you own them now. And you're the first person they can't silence. You're the glitch in their system." She turned to go but paused. "Watch your CTO. He's not who he says he is." With that, she disappeared into the shadows like she'd never existed. Back in his office, Malik plugged the drive into a clean offline machine. Jenna wasn't exaggerating, there were folders labeled risk profiles, quota loopholes, and exposure plans. One file froze him, Dorsey_override.docs. He opened it and what he saw made his blood run cold. It was a dossier on him. Photos of his mother, financial records from college, footage of him at protests, even transcripts of private conversations. They'd been tracking him for years. Before he even applied. His application had been flagged as culturally incongruent. Someone had made sure he never got in, not because of who he was, but because of what he might become. They were afraid of him. His phone buzzed. Again an unknown number. This time a video file. He opened it and instantly recognized the person in frame. Evan Wakefield, Langford Tech's current CTO. In the footage he was standing in a luxury boardroom, laughing. "If Dorsey gets in, we lose control of the model. He's too smart. Too clean. Make sure it doesn't happen." Someone else's voice replied, distorted, "Should we flag him for subversive patterning?" Wakefield nodded. "And leak his college protest record. Quietly. That'll keep the investors uneasy." The screen went black. Malik leaned back in his chair, heart pounding. The man he had just promoted to CTO was actively working against him. Worse, Wakefield knew Malik now had ownership, which meant retaliation could be coming, fast. Malik barely had time to process before his office lights cut out. Backup generator hummed to life, but his phone went dead. His laptop locked itself. Systems offline. Then, a voice from the shadows behind him. "You should have walked away." Malik turned, fists clenched, and came face to face with a man in a security badge, only it wasn't one of his hires. The man held a weapon holstered but visible, and beside him stood Wakefield, calm and collected, like betrayal was just part of the job. "Malik," Wakefield said coolly, "you've wandered into places you don't understand. This isn't just business, it's infrastructure. National security. You think you own this company? You just bought a target." Malik's eyes narrowed. "You were tracking me?" Wakefield smiled. "We were grooming you. The moment you showed potential, we embedded tags in the networks you used. You built your empire on compromised code. Every version of NeuroCore you sold, we let it pass." Malik's stomach dropped. "That's a lie." "Is it?" Wakefield tapped a tablet and Malik's screen blinked back on, showing code logs Malik had never written. Silent backdoors hidden in NeuroCore's architecture. "You were never the threat, Malik. You were the vessel. We let you rise so you could carry us in undetected. And now that you've drawn national attention, we'll let you take the fall too." Malik lunged forward, but the security man stepped between them. Wakefield laughed lightly. You want to fight the system, Malik? Be careful. Systems don't bleed. Malik's eyes darted to the drive still sitting beside his laptop. You haven't won, he whispered. No, Wakefield replied, backing toward the door, but we've already begun the next phase. The power surged again. A siren wailed from the server room. Systems were being wiped. Evidence was vanishing. Jenna's drive, useless if not transferred. Malik grabbed it, ran to the emergency elevator, sprinted to the underground server floor, but it was already flooding with coolant. The system was melting itself down. Suddenly, a private screen activated on the wall. Jenna's face appeared, frantic. They found me. They're purging the nodes. You have less than 3 minutes to upload the drive to the Shadow Archive. Malik's heart pounded. Send me the port. I already did. Her voice cracked. But Malik, once you upload, they'll know your entire signature. You'll be burned. Publicly. They'll smear you before the press, before Congress. But the truth will survive. Malik gritted his teeth. Then burn me. He jammed the drive into the upload bay, but just as the process started, the screen blinked red. Connection blocked. Credential override detected. His credentials had been locked out. Jenna, he shouted, they blocked me. Static. The screen flickered. Suddenly, a different feed appeared, an old man's face in a dark room, breathing heavily into a voice modulator. This is bigger than you, Malik. Bigger than Langford. Walk away now and we erase your profile. Keep pushing and your mother, your past, everything burns with you. Malik stared, fists shaking as the upload stalled at 9%. Then 6%. Then 3%. The screen began to shut down. And then, blackout. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift Black voices and expose hidden truths. The blackout stretched seconds into eternity, every fiber in Malik's body rigid, adrenaline screaming as the emergency lights flickered weakly overhead, barely illuminating the sterile server room now silenced by forced shutdown. The upload was frozen at 3%, the air heavy with the smell of ozone and burnt plastic as Langford Tech's core system self-destructed. Malik's breath came in sharp, measured pulls, the weight of the encrypted drive in his hands suddenly like iron. Across the bay, the wall display blinked once, then lit up again with lines of alien code scrolling at blistering speed. His access had been overridden, his personal security keys disabled, his entire digital signature flagged and firewalled. System lockdown, the computer chirped. Federal flag status. Level 2 engagement protocol initiated. Malik didn't blink. Level 2. That was Homeland level clearance. This wasn't just a private corporation. Someone, somewhere, had weaponized Langford's algorithms and buried them under federal oversight. Jenna's last words echoed in his head. They'll smear you before the press, before Congress. This wasn't about a tech company anymore. It was a chessboard and he had just moved into check. Suddenly the fire alarm screamed, then halted. A gas line hissed. Malik bolted from the server room as white vapor flooded through ceiling vents. Neurotoxin? Fire suppressant? Either way, staying was suicide. As he burst into the corridor, two figures in suits and earpieces turned the corner. Federal agents or private security, he couldn't tell, but they made a beeline for him. He sprinted toward the freight elevator, drive still clutched in his fist, and jabbed the emergency override. It opened just long enough for him to dive inside. He smashed the lobby button, heart pounding as the lift began rising. He needed a safe house. Someone on the outside. That's when a memory surged, Professor Elijah Knox. His old political science advisor from Howard, retired now, but once a deep-throat consultant to DC insiders. Knox knew how systems worked. If anyone could decode the depth of the corruption Malik was entangled in, it was him. Malik hit the street running head low, weaving through the chaos as fire trucks and unmarked vans swarmed the building. He ducked into a car share, ripped out the tracking chip and rerouted toward Maryland. 2 hours later, drenched in sweat and paranoia, he rang Knox's buzzer in a quiet DC suburb. The door opened an inch, then fully revealing the professor in robe and slippers, eyes tired but sharp. "I saw the news," Knox said, ushering him inside. "They're saying you triggered a cyber attack." Malik dropped the drive on the table. "They're lying. They've been profiling people like me for years. I have proof." Knox studied the drive, then glanced at the darkened TV screen, where news tickers scrolled. Breaking. Tech CEO allegedly linked to cyber leak, and Malik Dorsey faces federal inquiry into data breach. You don't understand, Malik said. Langford's been running predictive analytics on minority applicants. They called it workforce screening, but it's racial filtering. They knew I'd be dangerous the second I applied. They built a firewall around me. And now I own them, and they're erasing the evidence. Knox's brow furrowed. Then you need to hit back. Not with a press release. With a reckoning. He inserted the drive into a Faraday-shielded laptop and began decrypting its contents. This is the kind of thing that takes down senators, Malik. You have biometric logs, secret voice memos, interstate data sales, offshore laundering. This is more than racist hiring. This is espionage. Malik leaned forward. Can we get it to the right people? Knox's eyes narrowed. There are no right people in D.C., son. But there is one place this can't be buried. He flipped open a leather binder marked OSC. Malik raised an eyebrow. Office of Special Counsel? Whistleblower protection. But you'll need a clean handoff. Anonymous. Or you'll end up in cuffs or worse. Malik's phone vibrated violently. A known number. He let it ring, then freeze, then play a voicemail. The voice? His mother. Except she was crying. Whispering. Malik, they came to the house. They asked about your father. Said you were endangering national security. Please, stop whatever you're doing. I'm scared. The line went dead. Malik's blood iced. They're involving my family now? Knox's face tightened. You have 72 hours, tops. After that, either you bury the truth, or the truth buries you. The next day, Malik received a cryptic message from Jenna. Check the Glenwood safe house. Tape recorder. East wall panel. Risking everything, Malik drove to the location, an old photography studio she used during her cover years, and found the panel. Inside, a worn recorder and a tape labeled 1986. Project Emerald Door. He played it. The voice on the recording was familiar. Gravelly. Southern. We can't let this model go public. It'll prove what we've always known, that predictive behavior scoring is a racial algorithm in disguise. Another voice chimed in clearer. Then bury it. Rebrand it. Use the private sector. We'll call it talent forecasting. Nobody will question a tech company. Malik froze. The second voice was a match. Senator Clayton Reeves. The same man spearheading the Federal Oversight Committee on Data Ethics. The man now publicly condemning Malik for gross negligence. He had been involved since the beginning. Malik knew what he had to do. He packaged the file, cross-referenced the voice sprint, and contacted a whistleblower-friendly journalist he trusted, Asha Delane at the Ledger. He sent her the file along with the decrypted logs, every damning byte. But as the files began uploading to her secure server, an alert triggered. System breach detected. Upload halted. Malik's screen turned black. Then white text appeared, you were warned. A GPS trace lit up on his map, his mother's house. Her exact coordinates. Then a countdown. 03:00. 02:59. He grabbed his keys, heart racing, knowing it wasn't just about exposing corruption anymore. It was about saving lives. As he peeled out of the driveway, tires screaming, his phone buzzed again. This time a FaceTime call. Malik answered. The screen showed a dim basement. Tied to a chair, his mother. Gagged. Trembling. And behind her stood a man in a white coat holding a folder stamped, Langford Executive Contingency. Mr. Dorsey, the man said calmly, you now have a choice. Deliver us the original drive, and walk away forever. Or keep playing hero, and lose everything you love. Malik screamed into the phone, but the call cut. The screen now showed a new location. Not his mother's house. An underground medical facility. Off-grid. Jenna's voice came through a burner phone seconds later, panicked. Malik, they're not just silencing people. They're modifying them. Project Emerald Door wasn't about hiring. It was about control. Neural influence. Behavioral reconditioning. You give them that drive, and they'll wipe your mother's memory. You'll lose her. Forever. Malik slammed his hands on the dashboard, tears welling, vision blurring. How do I stop them? Jenna's voice lowered. There's only one way. You don't just leak the truth, You hijack their broadcast system and make the world watch. We're going to expose everything, live. Malik inhaled deeply. And if they stop us? Jenna's voice was like steel. Then we go down broadcasting. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift Black voices and expose hidden truths. Malik's grip on the steering wheel was iron-tight as the car careened off the highway and down a gravel road leading into the outskirts of D.C., his mind racing faster than the wheels. His mother's face haunted him, terrified, gagged, her eyes pleading. The man in the white coat, the words behavioral reconditioning, and that cursed phrase, Project Emerald Door, spun through his brain like a vicious loop. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't just racial profiling or systemic exclusion, or the whiteboard walls of Langford Tech that had once dismissed him. No, it was about the machinery that filtered, sorted, and programmed society's underclasses for silence. And Malik, the boy who once begged for an internship they laughed off, was now the only person standing between their shadow empire and the truth. He hit the brakes outside a crumbling warehouse, Jenna's safe house, slamming open the car door and rushing inside. Jenna stood there already, surrounded by monitors, coaxial cables, and open satellite uplink. You said we hijacked their system, Malik said, chest heaving. We make them watch. How? She nodded, pulling up a blueprint of Langford Tech's internal satellite comms. They have a private frequency, used only for investor presentations and internal shareholder meetings. It connects to a secure international relay. We breach it from here, override the signal, and broadcast the truth globally. Files, video evidence, whistleblower audio, all of it. Won't they block it? Malik asked. Jenna looked grim. They'll try. But I've spent 6 years building a backdoor. I just never had enough proof, until now. Malik reached into his coat and handed her the encrypted drive. Then we burn it all down. She inserted the drive and began the upload sequence as Malik's burner phone buzzed. A text. From Knox. Feds are tracing you. Turn off all devices. They're triangulating your location in real time. 40-minute window max. Malik looked to Jenna. We're on a countdown. The warehouse lights flickered, then the uplink connected. One by one, screens across the wall lit up. Singapore. Brussels. Nairobi. Atlanta. The signal was bouncing globally. We're in, Jenna breathed. Now we feed the world. Malik stepped up to the camera, heart pounding, sweat glistening under the rigged lighting. My name is Malik Dorsey. I applied to Langford Tech 3 years ago and was rejected without review. Not because I wasn't qualified, but because I'm Black. He looked straight into the lens. They used a secret algorithm to screen out people like me. They called it talent optimization. It was racial eugenics dressed in code. He hit the first file, side-by-side comparisons of resumes, Black applicants flagged as non-viable despite Ivy League credentials. But that's not all. Langford Tech also developed predictive behavior software used in law enforcement, education, and even social media. Algorithms that filtered millions based on race, zip code, and dialect. Next file. Audio logs from corporate meetings where executives joked about cleaning the pipeline and filtering culture fits. But then the final tape, Senator Reeves's voice, unmistakable, tying the program directly to federal funding. The screen split, showing public praise from Reeves, then his private voice warning, if the model gets out, bury it. Call it optimization, call it AI. Just don't let them see the truth. Jenna looked at Malik. This is it. Final wave. She initiated the final phase, broadcasting the database to multiple independent media outlets and international agencies simultaneously. It's live, she whispered. We did it. Then suddenly, the wall of screens went black. One by one. Signal lost. No, 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 Jenna muttered, hands flying across the keyboard. They found us. They're jamming the relay. Malik backed away from the table. We still have the drive. Go mobile. But before they could move, the safe house lights exploded in a violent flash. Smoke. Then laser sights blinked red against the walls. Tactical boots pounded the stairs. Malik grabbed Jenna and dragged her down the back corridor just as gunfire erupted, shattering glass and monitors. They burst out into the alleyway, ducking as bullets ricocheted off metal piping. Car, this way, Jenna shouted. They dove into the vehicle, and Malik peeled off just as a black van barreled down the street behind them. They've escalated to kill orders, Jenna gasped. Malik gritted his teeth. Then we disappear. They crossed the Potomac an hour later, ditching the car, switching to underground transport, and finally reaching a Fallout-style bunker Jenna had rigged years ago. There Malik opened a lead box and revealed a second drive, an untraceable cold backup. Jenna stared. You had a duplicate? Always. They both exhaled. Then Jenna checked her tablet. Wait, look. One signal had survived. A backup node in Berlin had received the broadcast, and the data was now being mirrored across the dark web and whistleblower archives worldwide. We made it, Malik said. They can't stop the truth now. But as they sat in the dim light, Malik's phone vibrated again. A blocked number. Against Jenna's protest, he answered. The voice on the other end? Senator Reeves. Come. Cold. Deadly. Malik, he said, clever boy. You won this round. But I want to make something clear. Malik didn't speak. You think exposing me destroys the machine? You don't understand. I am the machine. You've only seen a glimpse of Project Emerald Door. What you call filtering. We call Phase 1. We've already moved to Phase 3. The algorithm's no longer just screening people, it's rewriting them. Malik's eyes widened. You're lying. Am I? Reeves chuckled. Check the news, son. They already changed the narrative. Your mother? She's in federal custody. They're calling her your accomplice. This is bigger than you can fathom. You've started a war, and the first casualty is already someone you love. The line went dead. Jenna pulled up a news alert, breaking footage of Malik's mother being escorted in cuffs by Homeland agents. They say she helped you leak classified federal intel, Jenna whispered. Malik stood frozen, rage and horror crashing like thunder in his chest. Then the war starts now, he said. And I won't stop until every one of them burns. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift Black voices and expose hidden truths. Malik stood motionless in the bunker as the chilling silence from Senator Reeves' call faded into static, the weight of what he'd just heard crushing his chest like a vice. His mother labeled a terrorist, the media flipped against him, an Emerald Door already in its third phase, evolving beyond screening into rewriting whatever that meant. Jenna's hands trembled over the keyboard as the last remnants of their signal bounced between shadow servers across Berlin, Sweden, and Brazil, trying to salvage what little remained of the truth while a storm of misinformation swept across America. The headlines were poison: fugitive hacker leaks AI terror program, elderly woman arrested in cyber espionage plot, and worst of all, Senator Reeves vows to protect nation from domestic cyber threats. But Malik had seen enough chess to know that the king doesn't always fall in one strike. This wasn't checkmate, it was just the mid-game. We can't fight this through media, Jenna said, pacing. They control the narrative. Malik's voice was low. Then we changed the rules. I'm buying Langford. She stopped. What? They don't know I own 42% through proxies. That's why Reeves didn't name the company in the news. If the public finds out I'm a major shareholder, his entire operation collapses under conflict of interest laws and investor fraud. But how? Jenna asked. You need over 50% to seize control. I only need one more investor, Malik replied. And I know who. He reached out to Dr. Adebayo, a Ghanaian-born tech magnate Malik had once interned under before Langford's rejection sent him spiraling. Adebayo had been monitoring Malik's uprising from afar. I saw your file drop, Adebayo said over an encrypted call. I've known about Emerald Door for years. Couldn't prove it. Until now. Then help me shut it down. You buy 9%. I'll give you 10% of my shares later. I don't want profit. I want control. There was a long pause. Then, done. 2 days later, Malik walked into Langford's glass headquarters in a black suit with Jenna at his side and federal marshals trailing behind, not to arrest him, but to serve Reeves' internal board with legal notice. With 51% control, Malik was now the majority owner and CEO. The boardroom fell silent as he placed the evidence: unedited recordings, AI models, whistleblower emails, and international warrant warnings, on the oak table. Effective immediately, he declared, Langford Tech is shut down. Its assets frozen. Its executives, under investigation. Reeves, watching from a private office, made a final call to a hidden number. Activate Protocol Vertigo, he snapped. But it was too late. Jenna, anticipating this move, had already planted a counter-algorithm that disabled the system's mainframe. As their monitors blinked red and internal files disintegrated, Malik made his final move, transferring all declassified research to independent global AI ethics coalitions and open-sourcing the base code, ensuring transparency forever. At a packed press conference, he stood before the world and said, "I was ignored because of the color of my skin. Dismissed without a glance. But today I didn't come back to punish, I came back to correct. Let this be a message. Talent doesn't come with a complexion and power doesn't belong to a race. It belongs to those bold enough to rise when the world says, 'Sit down.'" Applause erupted. Cameras flashed. Jenna squeezed his hand. But just as they turned to leave the podium, a news alert blinked on her phone. Senator Reeves had disappeared from FBI custody. Malik's expression hardened. "He's going underground." "What do we do?" she asked. Malik didn't blink. "We track him. We finish this. And we rebuild what they tried to erase." Never let rejection define your worth. Sometimes, the very doors that slam shut in your face are the ones you're meant to own and open for others. Malik's journey reminds us that racism, exclusion, and injustice don't just need resistance. They need replacement. The answer to broken systems isn't begging for inclusion. It's rising, rebuilding, and reclaiming power on your own terms. The end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that uplift Black voices and expose hidden truths.